some of them, of course, didn't care, but other ones just, I get up 30 minutes earlier. I love what's happening. I love how I'm feeling. So again, certain people take the path and certain people don't. So, and also you're going to take the path when you're ready for the path. So there's no good, bad, right, wrong, where you are, where they are, just your own journey, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So today we're going to talk about your karma, which is one of my favorite topics, because in this world of energy, doing this for a long period of time, a lot of topics are what we would consider strange, people would consider strange. You're talking about timelines, frequencies, energy vibrations, this, that, so people think it's weird. So the reason I like karma is everybody's heard the word karma. Nobody knows what it means, but everybody's heard the word karma, right? We've all heard that word before. So I wrote this book. This book came out in 2011 called Karma Buster, and it was about clearing your karma, which we're going to talk about today. So we're going to get into how to do it, what's going on, how it works, what's happening in your life. So when I wrote the book, I said, you know what? I know a lot of spiritual people. I know a lot of energy people. I want to ask just people in general, what was their definition of karma? So does anybody want to give me their definition of karma?
What you put out, you get back.
And that was what everybody said. Oh, sorry, your first name again?
June.
June. Most of the people I say, hey, I'm writing a book. What is your definition of karma? I heard that, I would say probably 80% or 90% of the time. So people say that's what it is. Is that true? Yes. But it's almost like this much. So that's part of the thing, but the deeper you get into these principles, the more complex they become. So now it gets to the point where our minds can only handle so much, so we can't even get there. So what I try to do is say, okay, I'm going to take this principle, I'm going to bring it down to practical application. I think it's because I'm from New York. I think it's because I was a sales guy. I think it was like I had to get the point across. So I wanted to just bring it down to how do we utilize this in our lives today, and how does it work? How does it actually work? What's really happening? So I'm going to throw concepts out at you. Whenever I do this, I never want to be preachy. I'm just giving you information and ideas that I've gotten since I've been doing this work. Take it as you like. I don't want to force it. Nothing like that. We just want to kind of put it out there. So I'll give you my definition and how I saw it as I got deeper into it. So the first thing is, you chose your life, which gets people upset. But anyway, you chose your whole everything. So this is a very hard principle for certain people to accept, because if they have a hard life, they say, why would I choose difficulty, struggle? So think about this. So before you got here, you chose your gender, you chose where you wanted to come in, you chose, this is the one people struggle with, their parents. I know people say, I would never choose them, but you did. So you chose your parents, you chose everything that you wanted to have, you chose it before you got here, and you also chose the level of difficulty. Okay, so how many of you would say your life has been difficult? Right, a lot of us, right? So most people doing this have, if you come to these kind of things, it's like, there's a reason you came. Right? There's a reason I got into this work, is my life was hard, and I was struggling, and I needed to figure out where I was going to go. So the karma is complicated in a certain way, because some of it is you came to deal with emotions. Think of like yourself as, I came to an emotional school. That's what this is. So this is an emotional school. So you, on the other side, you said, this is the karma I want to clear. I want to focus on these issues, and I'm going to make selections that are best aligned with that deal. So the reason you selected your parents was they had the DNA skills and also issues that they passed on to you. You notice that? You probably say, oh yeah, I can see, like, I have this, like, because you see generational pathologies, that's what it is. It's the energy that got passed from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. So that's what kept happening. So the reason you see poor people remain poor, nobody broke the cycle. So what we want to do when we come here is we say, I want to break the cycle. Anybody have a cycle they want to break today? Okay, that's why we're here, right? So that's what we're going to do. But I need to know how to do it. Now, I will tell you, a lot of people don't even know there is a cycle. You know any of those? Mm-hmm. Right, you talk to people, they're like, oh, I don't have a cycle, it's bad luck, it's this. It's not, it's your energy creating something going forward. So here's where it gets funny to me. So on the other side, before you make your decision, right, you make your selection, it looks like it's very easy to do. because you have all the knowledge on the other side. Then you come here and you get wiped. So you don't have it. So it's kind of like, does anybody like the original Star Trek? We got Star Trek fans? Okay. I love Star Trek, the original. I used to watch it. Now that show, you have to remember, in the 60s, when I was a kid, that was the weirdest show. You know, back at that time, it was like, that's a weird show, man. So I'm going to give you a quickie. If you like the old Star Treks, there's actually Pluto TV. Never know Pluto, it's an app. They have an actual, it's free. You can put it on your TV or computer. They have a Star Trek channel. So it has all the old, they have all the different ones. It's like Voyager, all the, but they have all the old ones. So some nights, like my wife, she's not a sci-fi fan. I'll be sitting, there's nothing up, because TV's nothing up, right? So I'm gonna either watch that or Real Housewives. I'm gonna watch that. So I go to watch, so I put on the old Star Treks, right? And you know, William Shatner and the whole thing. So anyway, there was one episode that came to me the other day. I was meditating, I was getting ready for this. And there was one episode where Spock, I think it was Spock, had a brain issue. Something happened to his brain, and they're always on another planet, right? You see the show, they go on different planets, right? So they're on this planet. Spock has something with his brain. They're on the planet, so it's Kirk, Dr. McCoy was the doctor, remember him, Bones, and Spock is laid out because he can't do it. So this alien intelligence, wherever they are, says so he says he needs this certain brain surgery to be okay. So McCoy says, I don't know what you're talking about. I could never do that. I don't know what you're talking. So he said, don't worry. We're gonna basically download the procedure into you so you can do it. So it's like, oh great. You know, you're watching the show, great. He's gonna get the information. He's gonna heal Spock. So of course, right before he starts, because it is a TV show, the alien comes in and says, but there's always a but, because that's why it's a show. You're only gonna have the information for a certain period of time, and then it's gonna be gone. So he has like a timeline. So the minute he says that, which my first thought is, you know he's running out of time, right? Because that's a show. He can't not run out of time, you just told me. So now he goes to do the surgery. The minute he gets the information, he looks at Kirk. You know, there's a lot of overacting in those shows. And he goes, a child could do this surgery. He gets like very dramatic, and Kirk, he starts doing it. So he gets right to of course, to the end. And then he runs out of time, and he forgets. He's like, now he forgets, so he panics. He's like, I forgot. I can't finish. I don't know what to do. And Kirk rants because you said a child could do it, and now you can't do it. So somehow, of course, and somehow he finishes it, of course, and Spock is okay. But what I thought of it is that's what happens to us. So we're like ready to come, right? I'm in this other side. I'm in all this love. I'm in all this positive energy. I know exactly what I'm coming here to do. I'm very confident. I know I could do it. And then I get shot down here as a baby. So think about it. You go from all powerful, knowing everything, you're a baby. You can't do anything. You need somebody to take care of you. You're screwed, right? You're a baby. Yeah? And now, all that information that you had is gone. So all that confidence, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I got this. I'm going to come in here. It's wiped. Now, it's in there, but you can't get to it. Now, as you elevate your vibration and your energy, you will be able to get some. You don't get all of it, but you can get some of it. So that's what we're going to talk about, what we want to do. So you got here, just think about yourself, I got this. And then all of a sudden you got here, and as you started to grow up, and you said, wow, this is a real shit show. Is it not? It's pretty much a shit show, right? So now I'm like, okay, I'm here. What the hell am I doing? What am I doing here with these? And I got these idiots, this family around me, these morons who don't even know what's going on, and they're, you know, so it's a very disturbing situation. So now, for those of us who are more awake, we realize this. So there's two camps I'm going to give you, the two different ways I'm going to tell you what happens. We have the people in the pathology, okay, which is the family, and you have you, right? Every time I meet people who are doing this, they're like, I never fit in. Sounds familiar? And drive with these people. What am I doing with these people? I don't know what's going on. But as a kid, it's like, wait a minute, there must be something wrong with me. They're all doing it. They're all driving, and I'm saying, like, what's wrong with you people? So this becomes, you have to then start seeking other things, right? You want to start information. What am I going to do? So I started learning very early. I'll never forget, all this weird stuff comes to me in my meditation when I'm getting ready. 7th grade, Catholic school. I won't get into Catholic school because that's another talk. But 7th grade, we had to pick a topic. Everybody said, pick a topic to do a speech, or a presentation. So everybody got to pick whatever topic you, whatever you like, pick a topic. So, you know, girls are doing about pets and puppies and flowers and Yankees and this and that. I forgot this, it just came to me the other day. I picked near-death experiences.
Oh, God.
7th grade. I forgot this whole that I ever did this. And I remember saying, first of all, I didn't know how I knew about near-death. Where did I must have seen it somewhere. But I remember the class like looking at me as I did it. I actually brought myself back there, like it was such a weird experience, like this guy's talking about near-death, like people like dying and then looking down at themselves. I remember the whole speech thing. And so I'm like, okay, that told me, you know, my best friend talked about the Yankees, and I'm talking about near-death experience. Something's not matching up, right? So that's basically that. So now you get here, you go through your life, and there's the thing that we're gonna work on today is what we call the karmic wheel. Everybody heard that expression before? They call it a wheel, you might have heard of the karmic circle, you might have heard whatever. So the goal for us is to say, I came here with a karmic wheel to clear. Now, everybody's not gonna clear it, you're gonna clear it on different levels depending on how far you go. Because you have to put work into this. It's not like saying, okay, you know, it's kind of like people say, I wanna lose weight, but I have to do something. This is the same thing. Like, I want to lose weight, but I have to actually put effort in, and I have to like eat different foods, and I have to go to the gym. But I do want to lose weight. So this is like the same idea. Like, I give you the information, but you have to apply it into your life. So the karmic wheel is what we would consider to be your cycles or your patterns of your life. So this keeps going around and around. So the way your karma works, everybody's karma is basically working the same way. We selected the emotions that we wanted to work on most. Now you have to understand, we all feel the same emotions, but you might have selected certain ones at a higher level because that was the karma you really wanted to clear out. So I have a lot of abandonment. My dad died when I was 12. My mom was absentee. I ended up having issues with my own family, so I had a lot of abandonment in mind. Now you might have had abandonment, but at a lesser level. Now you might have had something else that was your thing that was going to be more, no better or worse. You pick, remember, you chose it. See, if you keep that front and center, changes everything. Because nobody wants to say, I chose to have illness, I chose to be poverty, I chose, you know, terrible relationship. Nobody wants to say that, but you chose it for a purpose. So what I'm gonna do today, and I want to work with all of you on this, is I'm gonna go through the wheel as I see it. So as it's happening, as I'm learning all this, I'm like, all right, I had to like break it down because I can't figure it out. Like it's just like this thing is going, this wheel is going around, and it's just, how do I stop it? So that's what we want to do. Now, the people who are not aware of this, like your family members who are stuck in the pathology, they like the wheel. Would you say? Because they want to be upset. You know, most people like to be upset. You realize that, right? Humans, they love to be upset. It's like a thing. So they want to be upset, they want to be angry, they're holding they don't know what's going on, they just kind of stay in it, but that became their thing, right? So they don't know what's happening. So for those of us who kind of say, wait a minute, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to get out of the wheel, it creates other issues with them because they want to stay in the wheel. And when you're breaking the wheel, they don't like it because you're exposing that I don't have to stay in the wheel anymore. So we're going to go through the way it goes around, and then I want you to think of your life. So as I'm doing this, I want you to think about, okay, how is this happening for me as this is going around in a circle? I want you to just kind of think about it. Okay, so let's start off with the beginning of the wheel is desire. So here's how it works. So the wheel, think of the wheel as your soul is saying to you, Joe, I need you to feel this feeling that you're not dealing with. Remember, your emotion drives it, not your brain. This is where it gets a little tricky because your mind wants it to make sense and your emotions are over here. So when you're not dealing with the issue, when you get to higher energies, which we'll talk about at the end, you can actually avoid the whole thing. But in the beginning, we don't know that. So your higher self says, Joe, you've got this feeling you're not dealing with. My higher self says, I need help. So I'm desiring to feel a feeling. So think about it this way. You're desiring to feel a feeling. So I'm going to use one of the most popular that I've come across after all these years. and is the feeling of being unappreciated. Has anybody ever gone through that one? Right, we've all been there, right? I'm unappreciated, that's what it is. So now think about this, it's like you went on Amazon and you said, please send me an order of being unappreciated. Let's do Prime so I get it tomorrow. Right? So I'm ordering my lack of appreciation, but I want to get it fast. Why not? I'm ordering it, might as well get it tomorrow, right? It's Amazon Prime. So I'm going to start that. I'm going to start Karma Prime. I'm going to start sending you your emotions. You want to get rid of that? Let's work on it. Okay. So you place your order, Amazon Prime, you got your feeling. Now the wheel has begun. Now you triggered the wheel. You triggered the wheel. Not I triggered the wheel. You triggered the wheel. Okay? So you trigger the wheel off. So now we get moving, and the wheel, now you start to attract. So you start to attract something. So in this example, I want to feel unappreciated. So what would I do? I need to find somebody that needs help, or somebody who I can do something for, right? Because that's what it's all about. I want to find something. So now, the word attraction, if you look at the way it was formed, it actually means pull to you. So you're going to bring somebody in that now needs something from you. You brought them, by the way. You don't have to like them, but you brought them to the party. You ordered them, that's part of your order. Right? So there you go. So now I'm going to attract that person into my life. Could be anybody. Could be family member, could be friend, could be somebody who's moving, I need help, could be I need to ride to the airport, could be whatever it is. I attracted this person into my life. So now this person comes in, you brought him in, your next step is going to be action. So you're going to take an action because of this person. So we have a couple of versions of this. Let's say you attract somebody and they need help with something, right? If you want to go to the high level and really have fun with it, before they even ask, you offer. Everybody do that?
Mm-hmm.
I saw such distress on everyone's face when I said
It's because if we've been through it ourselves,
yeah, of course.
or if we've had friends or family that have been
Yeah.
through it, we kind of know the steps to take, especially if it's like action oriented.
Yeah, so it's one thing if someone says, hey Joe, can you help me move? Right? That's one part, because then I'm agreeing to, you're asking me. It's a whole nother, even higher level if I say, oh, I heard you're moving, let me rent you a truck. Now I'm taking it to a whole nother level because I'm doing it. So now, here's where this gets to be a little fun. Once I take the action, I've attached an expectation. Right, we talked about this last week, actually, a little bit. So now when I do, because how many of us, if we do something, you have an expectation, immediate, right? If I send you a gift for your wedding, what do I expect?
Thank you note.
Thank you note. So now, because we have kids, or, our son is not married, but we have other friends who got married, they're in their 20s, whatever it is. Send a gift, even if we didn't go. And I never got a thank you card. So, I'm like, I'm not having a hissy fit over it, but I'm just like saying, okay, this person got married like 8 months ago. I think that one we got like, a year later? It's like a year later. I'm like, I forgot there was even a wedding at this point, that you even had a wedding. I'm like, oh, shit. Now I got the thank you card. I was like, why are you sending me a thank you card? I forgot there was a wedding. So, when we take the action, we have an expectation. So now the wheel is really moving, right? So now I'm really going. So I've got the desire, I attracted this person in, I either asked them or I helped them, I took the action, but what was my order up here? What was my emotional order? What do I want to feel? Unappreciated. So what happens next?
After expectations,
After I did it, I did you the favor,
the disappointment.
and the person doesn't even say thank you.
It's disappointment.
Right? Now I'm pissed. I'm beyond disappointed.
Yeah.
If I helped you move and you didn't say thank you, I'm going to be pissed. Right? So, I don't know about
I was
you.
being polite.
You're being nice. In Brooklyn, you'd be pissed about that. So, now I'm mad. Right? So this is where the whole wheel blows up, just so you know. So what happens is once you get angry, you become a victim. Anybody?
All the time.
Right now you're a victim because now you're angry, and when you're a victim and you think something has happened to you, even though you created it, you think something happened to you, right? What do you do next when you're a victim?
We get resentful.
You get resentful, but then what are you looking for? My favorite.
Appreciation.
I'm looking to be validated.
Yeah, validation.
So now I want to be validated that this person is an a-hole, basically. Right. That's my goal. I'm gonna say, you know what? This is an a-hole. I'm pissed off. I need to be validated. Now, because you're very smart, you know who to call, correct? You're not calling me.
Joe Busters.
You're not calling me because I'm not gonna validate you. I'm gonna say, well, you wanted to feel that feeling. They're gonna say, you're an idiot because what are you talking about? So now I became a victim. I called somebody who said, yes, he is an idiot. And how do I feel? I feel good. I'm right. My ego wants to be right. My ego likes to be right. I don't want to be wrong. I want to be right. So now that I'm right, I get to kind of go, oh, okay, I'm right. I went back and the wheel is done. Now, unfortunately, because you didn't deal with the feeling of being unappreciated, what do you think's gonna happen? So you start again. The wheel keeps turning. So the wheel goes around. Now, the way your soul works is your soul says, well, you didn't get it that way. I'm gonna have to give it to you another way. Now we're gonna have to amp it up. Now we're gonna have to bring it to you in a different way. I was reading a story one day about a guy who said, it was such an interesting story. It was in one of these books I was reading about these karma. And it was saying this one guy, when he did a regression, he actually had his friends beat him up. They weren't his friends, but they were souls that he knew, beat him up and leave him in an alley, almost dead, because he couldn't get the message he was trying to get. So he had to go to that extreme. Now these are his friends, by the way. His friends came and helped him by beating him up. So this is what ended up happening. So what you have to do is say, okay, is this happening? Has this happened to anybody?
Oh, yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. It's happening all the time, right? Yesterday what happened?
I wanted to save $400 and I let my neighbor who's a former accountant do my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I got charged once from the government, $1,700. Through him I owed $1,000, and he used the word moron, which I always get on his case for using that on people in traffic. And because I was trying to save money, I could have gone to H&R Block, who said, you just totally fucked up your taxes for you. It wasn't even filling in the blanks right. And I went to his house and I said, you know, I won't tell you what I said to him, but I said,
Please do.
I said I'm gonna give you a verbal spanking. I said I'm mad.
Yeah.
I said because I wrote his ass. Are you sure you did this right? Because I want to make sure, and it wasn't done right. And he turned it around on me like, well, it's because I told you to look at it. Well, I didn't.
Right.
So
So before you tell me the whole story, which I don't care about.
but I was mad
want to tell you,
myself.
I don't care about
I
the
was
story.
mad about myself.
Because, so here's where we get stuck. I want to tell the story. No,
Right.
stop for a minute. We love to tell the story.
Well, we're women.
No, but everybody does it.
Women do it more.
Women do it more. Well, like I said, I don't want to be biased here because I'll get in trouble because we're in a world of political correctness. If I
Yeah.
say women do
Okay,
it more,
I'll
I'm
say
gonna
it.
be. No, somebody will see this video and somebody will come to my
I'll
house.
say it.
So, so you said women are more dramatic. I said no. Kylie said women are more. I didn't say it. But,
We have an attention to detail
Right.
that men do not.
this is true. I agree with you. Although yes and no. But anyway,
How to stop the
what's that?
cycle.
Well, I told
You gotta
him.
stop the cycle. No, so what I'm saying to you is this. This is where we get in trouble. Because I want to tell the story, because that's my win. My win is I tell the story, I told that guy off, I said he's an idiot, he screwed up my taxes, that's my win. That's my egoic win. What I should be doing is saying, what is the feeling that I had when it happened? So what was the feeling?
I was mad at myself.
No, that's not it. What was the feeling? Mad is that I do in the future is, what you did is what everybody does. Tell the whole story. I don't want to tell any stories. I don't tell stories. The minute something happens to me now, and this is years of training myself, I say, what was my feeling? What was the feeling I had when this started? What was the feeling I had when this played out?
So, when you know better, you do better. So I know I've learned over the 60 years I've been
Yeah.
on this planet, trust your intuition, and I didn't trust
Right.
my intuition.
That's part of your
So
lesson.
how do you stop that shit? Because it's old.
Well, it's very old. So that's old identity that we're starting to, as we're going through ascension, we're letting go of the old identity. So part of it is going to be just understanding that that is no longer valid for you, right? Your instincts are correct. Now, how do you feel if you're going to do something? Now it takes time, right? Because we're not used to having our instincts being correct. We're used to being wrong or making a mistake or whatever we think we're doing. See, because here, it was like, I took myself through this whole thing because I didn't just say, this is what I want to do. So part of your big lesson is, you're right. Your feelings are right. See, here's the deal. Your emotions are always trying to talk to you. When you feel something's off, that's happening for a reason. Yes, Jim?
What should her desire have been?
Her desire, there's no should have. Her desire is based on what she wants it clear, right? So in her soul desire was, I need to clear this feeling, so I need to create an episode to get it out, to bring it to my awareness, right? It's not about, obviously our desires should be positive, right? I want to have good health, I want to have good relationships, so that's what we want our desires to be. But here on earth, as humans, we're going to have both sides, because that's what it's about. It's about having positive and negative energy and experiencing. So it's not a right or wrong or what it should be. I never use the word should, because there is no should, it's just what it is, right? So this is what we want to look out for. So when you go through the cycle all the way around, you basically, you didn't get anywhere. It's like you went in a wheel, you went in a circle and you came back to the beginning. So now going forward, I would say to you, Kylie, next time something happens like that and you feel something, what are you gonna do?
Follow my gut feeling.
That's what you have to do, right?
How many times have I done that over and over again? That
Done
I
what?
haven't follow my intuition.
So why are you not following your intuition?
That's why I'm sitting here.
Right, so the feeling is, I don't trust myself.
Right.
So it's a trust feeling within yourself, right?
Okay.
So now, obviously, you have to remember, we have a long history of not trusting yourself because of how you grew up. Now, you don't just flip a switch and say, tomorrow I'm gonna trust myself.
Right.
It's, you take baby steps, right? You start moving forward. You start saying, I feel this, do it, oh, it worked out. I feel this, do it, it's gonna work out, right? So it's like you have to start, it's almost like you have to override the programming that you have.
Right.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. There's no
If I don't
apologizing.
say it, I lose my
No, say it,
thought, and
yeah.
that's what happens.
Okay, Jen.
So the desire,
Right.
should you stop? If someone asks you to move, don't
No,
do it, or don't volunteer.
okay,
Is that what?
that's a great question. So let's talk about this. It doesn't mean I can never do you a favor, right? You may say, hey, June, you know what, I want to help you out and do you a favor. But if I'm in the middle of this, it's not going to work out.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
if I'm doing it with pure intent, right? If I'm doing it for you, if you say to me, hey, Joe, listen, people call me all the time. I get emails all the time. I just got an email from a guy that I knew when I was 11 years old in New York. I got to talk to him later. He just said, I found a picture of us when we were kids. He moved back he was from Boston. I was like, this guy came into my life for some reason. I need to talk to this guy. I don't know why, but he came back from, 50 years ago. So so these things happen, right? These things are happening. Or people call me up because they need help with something, or somebody emails me, or I've been doing this a long time. I know a lot of people. So I'll help them out. Now, my issue, with myself, by the way, is I have to have a boundary because this is how I make a living. So I just can't be doing it all. Now, once in a while, I'll say, yeah, I'll give you a little information. Then if people say, I need this, I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to book a session now because now we're getting beyond a quick question. That's my job. Now, if I don't do that, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna do all this help. They're not gonna say thank you. I'm gonna be mad at myself.
Right.
Same thing. So I had to learn to stop myself because you know why? I felt like I'm a bad person.
Doesn't it come back to expectations though? If you have
Yes.
expectations, you're gonna be disappointed.
No, but also I have to balance my energy. We all do, right? I can't be giving and never getting anything back because I'm telling the universe I don't want anything, right? So I've got to be able to say, you know what? I'll give to a point and I have to pull back a little bit. That's my adjustment to make, right? So I don't want to keep giving and never getting back because that's not good. The universe doesn't want that. Your higher self doesn't want you to give and not get back. We're going to help people. So to June's question, I may have my friends and we all moved. We all helped each other. We all did. We are good friends growing up. We were happy to do it. We had a great experience. We all helped each other move. We went out for drinks afterwards. It was all good. Nobody had a bad feeling about it, right? Different. This is when the desire comes in for you to clear something, this is going to happen. We just talked about it. So it's not that there's a good or bad. It's really saying, how does this feel to me before you do it, right? Somebody's asking you something, to do something, to go somewhere, whatever it is, to borrow money, to take them. What is the feeling you have? That's what you want to do. You want to be aware of that feeling before you get this going. Now, in this case, it's kind of saying, okay, I have to make a decision. Every decision we make, we should make a decision based on how we feel, not here. Because if you make it here, you're going against your soul. Your soul wants you to make it here, not here. So that's what you want to think about. So the minute you start feeling something, you know, I talk to people all the time. They're in jobs that they hate for 20 years. Well, why don't you leave? What am I supposed to do? Not that. You're telling me you're doing this 20 years and you hate your job. Why you do, like it's sucking my, people say, oh, we've heard that term, right? Soul-sucking job. Soul-sucking life. Well, change it, do something. But people have a lot of fear of change. They don't want to do something different. They don't, you know, or they're in a terrible relationship, or they're in a bad marriage, or whatever's going on. You know, I fought with my mother for a long time, but we didn't speak for years. It was too many problems. I had to make a decision.
Don't know how. Don't know how.
How
Don't
what?
know in which direction to move forward in.
Regarding?
That's for myself, but is that not how people, you know, feel? How?
How to
What
what?
is it?
How to move forward? Okay.
Into something or out of something that you're not
Yeah.
feeling good about.
Well, again, that's something that you have to do, right? You have to decide, I'm going to move out of this. I have to do something to move myself out of it, whatever that looks like, depending on what it is, right? Is it not talking to the person? Is it moving away? Is it changing jobs? Whatever that would be. I need to do something to move myself out of a situation if I'm unhappy there.
So could it be that more people are comfortable with no choice versus a lot of choices? I think it's kind of like overwhelming. You
Right.
walk into a food
Your
store and you
brain
got
hurts.
50,000 brands to choose from, and you know you want to do something different, but yet you just kind of go right back to the Campbell's or
Right.
whatever. You just sort
Well,
of
people fear.
intimidated by.
Yeah, but Margaret, remember, people fear anything new.
Yeah.
They do. It's just the way. I love something. I love to do different things, try different things. That's my, you know, doing this work. You kind of get into that. I need to be open to expand myself to anything. But people, it's easier. So I was on a podcast a few weeks ago. The guy said to me, "Why do people go in corporate jobs and just stay there and they hate their life, or why do they do it?" I said, because it's safer to do that than to go out and get into the arena and go into life and say, I'm not doing this. That's easier. So what do we want? People will choose the easy path over happiness every time. Not every time, but a lot. Because people say, this is easier. Oh, I got a 401k, I have a safe, stable job, I hate the job, but it's good, but it's safe, and I can stay there. Now, what was interesting, in 2008, we remember what happened, right? Everything crashed. And I was always doing my own thing. And all my friends worked the banks and worked here and worked there. When that happened, and they thought they were set. I'm in a bank. Nothing's gonna happen to me. We had a neighbor, Citibank, had all his 401k and Citibank stock that went from 65 to $1, I think. The guy was devastated, but he was the biggest ego guy going. Because he was always like, oh, I'm in Citibank and I made the right moves and I did what I knew I was doing. And then all of a sudden he was wiped. So the universe has a good sense of humor. Don't let that happen. The ego is not good. So it's easier for me to say, oh, I always buy Campbell's soup, than try something else. And you know where this plays out? I'll give you, even in the business side. Do you know how many new products actually make it to the market? Virtually none. When they introduce a new, whether it's a soup or a toothpaste or whatever it is, they test market it somewhere. 90% of those products never get to market. Why? People say, I like this. They do surveys where they say, look at your supermarket cart. Do you have all the same items every time? Right? Unless there's a Publix BOGO. I'm obsessed with BOGOs because California we didn't have BOGOs. So now, if I look at Publix, I say, well, you know, that's a BOGO. I tell my wife, I'll try that because it's a BOGO. So that's how Publix gets me every time. But this is part of
And you're paying for both, Jim.
Oh, I'm paying for, well,
You paid for them, you're not getting anything for
I'm sure I'm not, but I want to believe I am. So don't ruin my illusion.
You have an expectation.
My
and
expectation
I'm
is,
interested in-
instead of paying $7, I paid $7, I got $2, so I feel better about it for that minute. But anyway, you had a question, Gene?
Yeah, I was kind of in that wheel for a while.
Okay.
I had somebody asking me, and it had to be with watching their dogs.
Oh, okay.
So I did it, and I didn't like it. Did it again. Third time I finally said, I can't, I don't feel right leaving the dogs alone for that long of a time. So, okay, no problem. But then where does the guilt come in? Then I felt guilty because
Right.
I actually broke that wheel and didn't do it. Then I felt guilty.
No.
So that is part of the process, right? Because when I break the cycle, I'm going to feel guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is, which we always talk about this at home, we actually have a meditation that we go into to say, I didn't do anything wrong. We had to create a meditation, that's how bad it got. We had to really have a meditation and sit there and say, I didn't do anything wrong. Because you grew up thinking you did everything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you do something for yourself, which is empowering, now I feel guilty.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to shift to say, I'm empowering myself, it's not wrong, I don't feel guilty, I didn't do anything wrong. So it's like it's like this similar reprogramming, right? Oh, I didn't do anything wrong, you overstepped, or it was too much for me, I decided not to do it, you didn't do anything wrong, right? What'd you do?
Said
You just, no, it doesn't work, this is
Can't
too
do
much,
it.
right? So you felt guilty, so what you have to do is allow yourself to feel guilty, it's okay.
Okay.
So the thing is this, in order to clear energy, we never want to block the feeling. If you block the feeling, you don't clear it. So you want to say, you know what, I do feel guilty about this, it's okay. And then what happens is when you accept the feeling, the energy just passes through. When you resist it and say, I don't want to feel guilty, it gets done. So the minute you sit with it and say, I feel guilty about that, but you know what? I'm holding my ground, and it goes through. And I used to do it all the time with my mother. We used to have these, because she would call me at the last minute, I need you to come over here. I was like, then finally, and I would always do it, because I was the good son, right? I'm the good son, I have no father, I'm going to do it. When I started saying no, it was hard, because I said, now I'm the bad son. So my teacher at the time said to me, I'll never forget, she goes, well, let me ask you a question. When you do it, do you feel good? I said, no. So she said, well, here's the deal. She was very direct, one of the teachers who taught me the chakras like 35 years ago. So she said, here's your options. And she would say very nice, in a very nice soft manner. You can go there and get bitch slapped, or you can take your power back. But she said it just like that. It wasn't like it wasn't Captain Kirk. It was like very, you could go there, if you want to keep getting bitch slapped, I would go there. Well, I certainly don't want to keep getting bitch slapped, so I guess I have to say no. And then I have to deal with the feelings of saying no. And then what happens is, when you do it the next time, then it starts getting empowering. See, then it shifts. It shifts out from guilt to empowerment. And then you start to elevate, because now you're saying, oh, I'm not doing this because I want to. Now, if you want to do it, that's different. If you feel like I want to do, but see, what will people do when you start doing them favors?
Keep asking.
Take advantage of it.
They overstep. They can't help themselves. They're like drug addicts, right? Oh, you helped me once, I'm going to keep calling you, I'm going to keep calling you. I know who to call for a favor. I'm going to call you for a favor every time. Because you're, and again, it feeds off your wanting to be nice.
Can I
Yes, ma'am.
There's an expression, I love it, the willing can't be used. If you're willing to be used, it's gonna happen. And
Right.
Boundaries is a word that comes to mind, and I feel so much better creating boundaries. It's a self-esteem, a confidence builder. I don't even like the word self-esteem anymore. It's confidence builder for me. You're gonna piss people off because you're standing up for yourself. And there's a comfort in
Yeah.
familiarity, June,
Yeah.
with dysfunction.
Yeah.
And if you're used to that and bitching to everybody, because you, like what you said, Joe,
Yeah.
everybody goes, oh yeah, oh poor Kylie.
Yeah.
That feels good in a kind of a dysfunctional way.
Yeah. Well, because you're getting something. You got to remember, you always get something. So even at the end, if people say, oh, poor Kylie, or poor Joe, or oh, you did that, I can't believe they treated you like that, you get a little something out of it, right? So a little feels, a little bit. I mean, not that it doesn't help anything, but for the moment, it's like self-medicating, basically. It's like the same thing. So the bottom line is, now we know what this is. So when you go through the whole wheel, your always question is going to be, what was the feeling that I had here? That's going to help you, because you got to remember, you desired the feeling. So once I can identify, oh, I attracted this. Now, here's where you start to advance yourself, right? When you realize it before in this part, right, this side. So if I realize it in, let me change colors so we can really see. So if I can realize it here and here, then I could kind of preemptively stop it before I get into the whole thing. So you may say, well, you know, I'll give you an example. You know, like, I haven't been on a date. We've been married a long time. 37 years together, 34 years married, right? So I haven't been on dates in a long time, but I do watch TV. So, and we do have a 30-year-old son who goes on dates. So we get to talk to him. So you know when you go out with somebody, or even like a business thing. You know, I had a guy recently, I would see him. The minute I went there, I got like a bad feeling. I said, it's reminding me of something that I did before. I don't think so. So I attracted the guy in, I went to the meeting, and I stopped. Because I knew something's wrong. I didn't need to go through the whole shebang, right? So I kind of I attracted him in, I never even got to the action. I just kind of got to the attracted. So sometimes your soul's doing that, by the way. Your soul is saying, okay, we're gonna tune you up a little. I'm gonna bring this person in, and let's see if you can figure it out. That's kind of how your higher self is working. So you want to identify quicker. So that's what we're trying to do, right? I'm trying to identify what is it that person is bringing up for me that I'm trying to understand. So the more I can say, well, you meet people all the time who will remind us of our parents, right? It's very upsetting. It's kind of disturbing. But I used to do it all the time because when you're going through the clearings, you keep bringing it, because that's where all the foundation, right, comes from, right? The foundation of, you don't know what you're doing, you're stupid, you don't know why you go doing this. That comes from there. So when we keep bringing in those people, I just spoke to a guy the other day who I know from New York. I just did a session with him. He was talking about, he met a woman, she was super critical. I'm like, well, what was that? I knew who it was. It was his father. He said, my father was like that. I said, there you go. So it's like, oh, that's your soul telling you you're not done here. You're still holding on. So what's happening is, if you're holding the anger still, right? If you're still holding feelings up here, anger, unresolved issues, unresolved feelings, they're going to keep coming in. So this is what you're trying to be aware of. If I'm holding on to something that I can't accept. So everything in energy is acceptance, resistance, love, fear. So during the day, I always like to kind of look at myself and say, where am I? Am I in acceptance and love, or am I in resistance and fear? So if I have a feeling or I have a situation going on and I'm not dealing with it, then I'm not letting it go. And if I'm not letting it go, I'm going to bring it in again because it's still there. It's still floating around. And that's what's happening. So that's what you're trying to do. So you're just trying to be aware of what's going on. And we know most people are not. In this society now, forget it. First, I can't even get to the walk through the parking lot of the gym without somebody on their phone, they're driving their car in front of you, they're not paying attention. I mean, nobody's aware of anything. So the idea now is you got to amp up your awareness. But the key is go to the feeling. The reason this is challenging for us as humans is your mind wants everything to make sense, correct? Does it?
Yes,
Does everything make sense?
No.
No, nothing makes sense.
rarely.
First of all, if you look at the world we're in, does any of this make sense? I said shit show for a reason earlier. This is what it is, right? You're like, oh my God. But I have to accept, I came here to be in this, to be part of the solution, hopefully, for people to be helped so that they could start to, because what happens is the more we all are awake, we're elevating the energy of the whole universe. Not even just the planet, the whole universe. So the more people who are saying, oh, I'm getting it, I'm getting it, I'm getting an aha, I'm getting to this, I'm getting to that. That's what starts happening for us. So the key is you have to get out of your head because your mind wants to be a problem solver, and this is energetic and this is emotional. It's not going to make sense. It doesn't make sense that someone would abuse someone else, right? But they do, because that's what we came here to do. So the idea is I want to, if I start the wheel, let me stop it early before I get all the way back here, because then I'm gonna do it again. Yeah.
I had an instance just last night where that wheel was ready to go
Mm.
and it stopped right at action. And I ended up not being, in my mind, a victim.
Mm.
Case in point, I have friends up north. They'll always say, hey, I'm gonna come down and visit you, I'm gonna come down and visit you, and I've always extended the invitation after the end of every phone call, come on down, I got 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, I'll take you to everything. Wonderful friend of mine in Pennsylvania, we called last night, we kinda end the conversation with, yeah, come on down, and she goes, well, when are you available? And I'm like, I'm retired. You work, let's do this. So, we've always been the offer, like, come on, I would really love to see you. And so there's the kind of the desire, and then I'm kind of attaching that attraction to it.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, we'll make plans. And I'm like, yeah, ready to go.
Right.
Into the, we'll make plans, nothing's gonna be done, and I'm gonna just validate the fact that once again, another friend's gonna go like, blah.
Yeah.
Right. Hour later, I get a text from her. Hey, I just booked a flight from
Wow.
Hagerstown,
There you
Maryland,
go.
first week of May, I hope that's okay with you, I'm like, oh, cause I was ready to go right to, like,
But you stopped
once
yourself.
again validated,
Right.
nobody's coming down.
Right.
And just something out of the blue,
Right.
not even my action, but
It's not
someone
action,
else's
it's
action,
energy.
was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
So because you removed the tension and expectation, and you also removed the feeling of, like, you let it go.
Yeah.
Right? So you've been coming to these meetings for a while, right? So I get credit for that, correct?
Yeah,
I just wanna make
absolutely.
I just wanna make sure, everybody knows, I'm only kidding. But anyway, but that's it, Marvin. So what you did there was, what happens is, this'll happen instantaneously. It's almost like, I remember, I'll be having an issue with somebody, I'll clear the energy, they'll call me. Right, I'm like, oh, I didn't do anything. I mean, I didn't call them, I didn't tell them, but the minute I let it go, it shifts. Now, they feel that energy, it doesn't matter where they are, because energy does not know geography like we do, right? So they just feel that vibration, and it goes to them. Now, now, also, in your energy, there could be a case where you and that person are no longer aligned to see each other. And that's why it doesn't happen. Sometimes that happens too. I have my friends, I'm like, hey, we're in Florida, you wanna come down? They're like, oh yeah, whatever, nobody, I'm like, all right, fine. And I'm done. I'm like, all right, I asked you once, you're finished. You get 1 invite. You don't get 2, you don't get 3, you get. We're here, you wanna come? Fine. You don't wanna come? Fine. I'm not calling you every week. By the way, what are you gonna book a flight? You're gonna come down. I'm not that excited. So don't worry about it. Let's move on. So this is what, it's like being really tuned into yourself. Right? How do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? So the other thing you want to be careful of, and I'll give you a couple of tricks here to help you. If you find yourself trying to convince yourself or others of something, that's a bad road. Right? You ever see people trying to, let me tell you why this is good. You don't have to tell me why. If you think it's good, great. You don't have to tell me. So if you see yourself in that space, when you get this sentence all the time, let me tell you why I'm doing it. Bad. That's a bad start. Because you're trying to convince yourself, really, and then other people, because you're also trying to get validated. Oh yeah, that makes sense, yeah. You're gonna take the job for less money because it's closer to your house? I think that's great. Right? Because you say, well, the other job's only 15 minutes further, you're gonna make more money, why don't you go? Because the fear of change. But I can validate it to myself. Oh, this is, I've been here longer and I know what's going on and it's closer to my house, so I don't want to take the new job because it may be harder and I may not know what I'm doing and I may be afraid that I'm going to screw it up because I don't trust myself, so I'll just stay here. So this is all the little tricks we play with ourselves, right? We're trying to trick ourselves all the time. So the idea is I want to cut through all the crap, get right to what I'm feeling, and be honest. So that is the key to really moving yourself forward, right? The key is going to be stop and address it, or even just sit with it, right? Something happens that's upsetting. Something happens that you brought in that kind of started this moving. Stop yourself before you get into your whole emotional routine, okay? And that's going to be your key to breaking these cycles, and then you're going to start to see, oh, the cycles now, all of a sudden everything is changing, the cycles are not happening anymore, or it happened again at a lesser, sometimes it'll happen at a lesser level, it'll still happen, but it won't be as bad. Then it'll happen again, then eventually say, okay, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore. So you have to let it go. And there is part of us that has that old in our head.
Brain behavior.
Yeah, that's in there. So that's, you know, that's part of the situation as well. So any other, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I have a mother who has a lot of expressions. One was, when in doubt, don't. So I question every damn thing in my life.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just tossing it is very difficult because that now I'm overthinking.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing
There's
that
no
I do.
thinking involved. No, the more thinking is bad. Just think of it that way. Thinking is bad, feeling is good. Right? When you overthink, think of a creative person when they're creating something. Are they thinking? No. They're in the zone. They talk about, I'm in the zone, right? They're in the zone of creativity. They're not in the zone of thinking. There are times to be thinking, but most of the time, if we're overthinking, we're not connecting, right? So if you start people who are over analytical, right? Very fear-based, because they want to analyze everything, every single thing they're doing, make sure it's right. The one thing I got into business very early. I went bankrupt a couple of times when I was young. The one thing I learned was, not everything's gonna work. It's just it's one of those things. And one of my clients, everybody heard of 1-800-Flowers? Years ago, those guys had a small flower shop in Belrose, Queens. I actually sold them direct mail advertising when they were first started, two brothers. And I saw a show years later, and Jim McCann, who was the older brother who started it, he was talking about the company and what they did, and he said, I'm going to bring you into this room, and he had all these different things in the room. And the guy said, the interviewer said, what is this room? He said, this is the room of all the stuff that didn't work. So he said, why do you have a room like this? He said, because this is the kind of company we want to be. We're going to try different things. We know they're all not going to work. It's just the way it is, right? So if I'm not willing to, it doesn't mean if you do something, it's going to work the way you want. It always works, because it's always going to help you do something else, but that's the way you have to approach it. Like, I can't worry it's going to work, not work, be good, be bad. It's just like, I need to just do it if it feels good. So that's what it comes down to. With no expectation, no attachment to the outcome, just do it. And then let it go where it goes. The minute you start thinking, you get in trouble. This happened to me. I've been in sales my whole life. Yvette's been in sales my whole life. My wife's been in sales my whole life. When I was doing well, anybody here in sales? Right? When you're doing well, are you thinking? Just going, just flowing, right? Then you start thinking, and then I saw it a million times, and I was a sales trainer, sales manager. I would see the people all of a sudden, and then something would happen, they would get a little nervous, they would start thinking, or they got a big account, they got panicked, and they went off the rails. So it's trying to hold yourself in that not thinking space. It's hard to do, because humans, we think, that's what humans do, they think. So the idea is trying to balance it out. It's like, okay, I want to use my brain when I need to for thinking, and the rest of the time I want to be over here. So I'll give you another Star Trek analogy. I know I'm not really here right now, okay? Because this is just not real, right? But I know that. But I'm here because this is what we came to do and have this experience. So I think of myself as, I'm beaming myself up. And then once in a while I want to beam myself down to do this, and to be with people and have human experiences. But then I'm going to beam up in between, like when he used to do the thing, remember he said, beam me up, Scott? Beam me up, I'm going to beam up, I'm going to live up there, I'm going to work on my energy, and then I'm going to come back down and apply here in the physical. Right, so that's kind of the little walk that we have. Any other questions about this? Everyone's traumatized for the day. Okay. It's like, oh my God, I have to go out into the world and try to do this. So yeah, just, I have all my information over there, I have my books over there, and I also do consulting and sessions with people. If you have any questions, you can always email me or whatever. I have a YouTube channel as well. We'll be back here in, I don't know what that date is. I think it's the 20th of March. I believe it's the 20th of March. For the third Saturday, we'll post the new topic that we're going to do for that month. If you know anybody who you think would enjoy this, or someone you don't like who you think you could help, tell them too. We want to help them too. But anybody you think, like I said, if you have any questions regarding donations or anything like that, you can see Kathy or Brian. And just the thing is, this is a consistency thing. You got to stay with the game, in the game. You can't like, they call it a spiritual practice for a reason. It's like I get up, I meditate every morning, I work on my energy every day, I shield myself, you know, I work on this stuff, I'm elevating my awareness, I want to understand what's going on. I don't want to get into the third dimensional and human nonsense that stops me from elevating. And anytime we do, that's what happens, and we all do, because we're still human. I don't care what level, you know, they talked about Jesus yelling at people, Buddha yelling at people, you know, we're still people. So we're still gonna have those moments, I don't care how high energy, the minute you come into this world, you come in human form. And you take on all the stuff that we have as humans, right? The emotions, the feelings, the physical issues, the meat suits, the whole thing. So it's like, you're not gonna be perfect. And I think that's also, how many of you think you have to be perfect? Right, trying to be perfect, I do right, I gotta do right, I can make a mistake, I don't wanna do wrong. So, just, you know, this was a great start with Kylie today with really trusting your feelings, and then go with your feelings. And then if it feels, you feel guilt, or you feel shame, or you feel something that came up, that's something for you to let go of as you go forward. So have fun breaking your wheels, and let me know how you're doing, and then, you know, send me your flat tires, and we'll get them fixed.